All right, then let's go ahead and get started. So like I said, this is just a short how to protest your property tax assessment. Um, the first thing I want to bring up is just the deadlines. If you're planning on doing it yourself, make sure that you have your protest submitted by May 15th. If you are getting somebody to do it for you, it is a good practice to have it done by the 13th. That way, they can submit it and it can be time stamped. And we definitely want to do this either through email or file it in person. Now, again, the slides are going to be given to you so you can have this email address. But when you get your um, form filled out, you want to email it to cs@bcad.org. Uh, if you feel comfortable doing it through the portal, you can do it that way. For me, it's just less confusing and a lot easier just to do it in person or through email. Plus, you got the timestamps on everything. Now, these are the three most important forms that we want to do. Of course, the first one is going to be the property's owner's notice of protest. These can all be found on the BCAD website. But again, I'm going to be sending these to you so you can have them handy as well. And the other two is if you haven't filed your homestead or some of your exemptions that you are qualified for, they're two separate forms. Any disabled vet that is rated between 10 to 90% is a completely different form than the 100% disabled vet exemption form. Oops, went too far. So on the property's owner's notice of protest, very simple to fill out. We're going to be for the tax year 2023, which was last year, Bear County Appraisal District. If we are going to be filing some of our exemptions, like say this year you're going to qualify for the over 65 freeze, you don't have to wait until you're 65. You can file for that exemption the same year that you turn 65. So say your birthday's in December of this year, you can file for that right now. Disabled people, even if the homeowners are not disabled, but they have a child or somebody that they're caring for within the household, you can qualify for exemptions here as well. And of course, our military service members and veterans, or even the surviving spouse of a military service person, you can fill out whichever one of as many as these that you qualify for. Some of them may overlap, but we want you to get the most exemptions that you are qualified for. And some of them, like I said, some of them overlap and kind of cancel each other out. But be sure to get all your entitlements. It's fairly easy after that. You're going to do the property owner's name, your address, your phone number. And then again, the physical address will go right here. And then you want to do in section 3, incorrect appraisal, market value, and or value is unequal compared to other properties. Um, let's see. This is the main one you want to do. That's all we're doing is just protesting the assessed amount. There are some other ways, things that you can go over here that we can protest as well. But again, this is just for the basic assessment. Now, in section 4, you definitely want to leave this blank. Don't even put in a property value yet. We'll do this during the actual informal and formal hearings if it gets that far. What I recommend, don't even get a realtor involved or get a comparative market analysis yet. What you want to do is file your protest first. So again, section 4, leave completely blank. On section 5, the main things that have changed on this is you want to do an informal conference. So you want to check the first one here, and you want a regular panel, not just a single panel member when you do that. Now, the ARB panel is a panel of your peers. You would also have the appraiser there as well. So these are the two boxes that we want to check in section 5. And again, you want to do this in person or by telephone. You can do it by video conference, but more than likely, if you get disconnected on the phone, you can call right back up and get connected. with the spotty service that we have online, it's just a personal preference. I don't like doing it through Zoom calls. I'd rather do it these two ways up here. It's not that you say that you can't do it these two, but the top two are the most preferred ways and easiest ways to do it. And then, of course, section 8. This is all. I mean, section 6. This is just going to be of the way that you're going to be going back and forth with correspondence and submitting documents and receiving documents for them. Um, I like both getting text messages and emails. The more documentation you have, the better. That way, it doesn't turn into a he said, she said. Um, I always like having a copy of my hearings on file from the previous year. That way, when I go back and protest them again the next year, you already have that as well. Especially when we have the homestead cap on it. And if they try to go above that cap, you have the documentation in hand. There, you can get all these documents going back and forth through certified mail, and you agree to pay the cost, but that's entirely up to you, or just regular first class mail. All right. So, and then the last section 7, again, that's if we have properties that are in the millions of dollars. Other than that, we don't have to worry about it unless it's property that's commercial property, industrial, or even income producing properties. I would suggest somebody doing the protest for you instead of trying to do it yourself, because it's a lot more complicated. And then finally, at the very end, you can just check the property owner, print here, and then sign at the bottom. That's the first step in the process. Now, what to do after we file? What's going to happen next is they will probably notify you 2 weeks, 14 days, 14 to 15 days before your hearing. So before that, what you want to do is we want to lower the evaluated condition of your home. I don't know if I've got that file, but let me bring it up in a different, so I can show y'all what I'm talking about. Let's see. Give me one moment. I'm going to go into BCAD and show you what I'm talking about when changing the condition of our home and the assessment. While I'm bringing that up, does anybody have any questions about filling out the actual form itself? Okay, so I want to stop sharing this for a second, and I'm going to share the screen from BCAD. So what I want to do in this next step, and while we're going to be taking pictures, let's see, is we want to take pictures of issues like foundation, anything structural. The actual hail damage that we have right now wouldn't classify under that, but however, the subroof, if there's leaks on that, that's something that we definitely want to take pictures of and get estimates of all the repairs that we need to our homes done. We're going to submit at least about 10 pictures and any kind of estimates that we're getting from professionals. Okay, this is a bad example, but right here in the class, it would have a designation of our home that would say great, excellent, good, average, fair, and poor. what we want to do is try to change the class by submitting those documents, the estimates and the pictures of those repairs that we needed. So I thought I had a good example, but let me go back to our slideshow. So again, if we go into the BCAD website, what we're doing is changing the condition of the home, and this gives you the 5 ratings that they'll be having on there. If we can change the condition, it's definitely going to change the assessment, and that'll help out lowering our assessment value. Again, some of the examples that we want to take pictures of: cracks in the foundations, walls, ceilings, where there's signs of movement, water damage in the ceilings or attic, rusted out plumbing, including sinks, tubs, showers. On the exterior, evidence of wood rot or wood damaging insects, or especially like here in the neighborhood where we have a lot of squirrels, uh, they can put a lot of damage in the eaves, uh, any kind of broken windows. If you had sheds or, oh, I'm sorry, if you had sheds or any kind of structures in the backyard that have been removed, or you have slabs where structures once stood, you definitely want to take pictures of those. That way we can remove that from the assessment as well. Again, just get free estimates. Try to get more than one. That way you can use the one that benefits and submit the ones that benefit you the most. You can only submit the highest ones. Doesn't mean you have to go with them. But again, this is just to lower the assessment value of your home. And then again, you definitely want to submit these pictures and estimates at least 2 days before your informal hearing. The next thing, and we did this, I'm sorry, let me go back on. We requested an informal hearing, and then we're also requesting the 3-member panel for our protest. The 3-member panel is a panel of your peers, and it's also going to have the appraiser there as well. The actual hearing itself, you want to go with the informal one first, and before you go into the formal. There's 3 different stages: the informal hearing, the formal hearing, and then if you still can't agree, you can go to mitigation. And I'll kind of go into more details on those as well. Uh, Also, when you're filling out the form, you definitely want to ask for your evidence package. And the reason we want to do this is we want to use the comps that the appraiser is using against them. A lot of the times, these appraisers are using the wrong comps, where they're comparing even like 1-story homes to 2-story homes. There's a completely different value on those, and they're comparing apples to oranges. Once you get the evidence package back, you can ask your realtor to do a comparative market analysis based on the evidence package that they give you. And what we are going to do is the sales market range, and not the I'm sorry, I drew a blank right there. The equity range. The equity, they'll tend to use that more if they cannot find sales comps within the past year to come up with that evaluation. It's a lot easier to use the sales grid. And then once you get together with your realtor, or I'll be more than happy to do that CMA for you, what you want to do is come up with a range based on the homes that they're using for comps. And we want to try to get within a comp that fits yours the most. We want to try to get within as close as to the same year it was built, within plus or minus 300 square feet. Um, and of course, we want to compare 1-stories to 1-stories, 2-stories to 2-stories, and try to get it as close to your per home as possible. So in the informal hearing, It will, if you do it in person or over the phone, if you present solid evidence, it'll probably take about 5 to 15 minutes. What you want to do in this is explain the need for the repairs using the photos, explain the comps being used do not reflect correctly in comparison with your home. And this is where you can present the homes that should uh, be used as comps instead of the comps that they use. And then what you want to do is let your board know a range that you feel would be suitable for where you think the assessment should be. Um, when they'll come out and flat out ask you what you feel your assessment should be, give them the low ball number of the lowest number of the assessment in that range that you come up together with your realtor. The appraiser may come back with a higher number. In this case, you can accept. Sometimes they'll negotiate 2 or 3 times. Most of the time, in the past 5 years that I've done it, they will, if it's within reason, they'll accept the number that you give them, especially because we're using their evidence against them. If you cannot come to an agreement during the informal hearing, the next thing will be a formal hearing. And again, it'll be pretty much the exact same thing as the informal, where you'll be going in front of the board and the appraiser. You'll just have different members of the board. In this formal hearing, um, this is where you will ask for a second opinion. And again, this during the formal hearing, you want to present first and give all your evidence that you have to the panel before the appraiser can give his evidence. Probably the majority of the time, because this is a panel of your peers, they're going to be going through at least 900 per day. Not the same panel, but they try to do 900 to 1,000 a day. They'll try to get it done as quickly as possible. And again, if the evidence is solid enough, more than likely they'll agree to your asking or come up with something in between. If we still can't come to an agreement, then there is always mediation. This is where litigation actually comes into place, and there could be some out-of-pocket costs, anywhere from $500 to $5,000. If we cannot come to an agreement here, there is the risk that the original assessment will take effect as well. This is the kind of final option to get your target number in your assessment, though. So we can still go this far in it, but again, please be aware and know your risk as well. All right. And then lastly, if you'd like, the past couple of years, I worked with Home Tax Shield to try to get some discounts in place for anybody that wanted to use their services. Also, this year, I am in partnership with Protest Tax through My City is My Home. It's a local nonprofit. They will be more than happy to protest your taxes on your behalf. And again, here, these are links that you can click on once I send you the slides if you choose to do this as well. So just some additional things to know. You want to do and protest your taxes every year, even if you have the 100% disabled vet exemption or the over 65 freeze exemption, you still want to protest those taxes just to keep these assessments low. The homestead exemption will have a cap of 10% year over year. But with the way home prices have been climbing over the past few years and where they're headed in the next 4 to 5 years, they will be appreciating anywhere from 4 all the way up to what I've seen in the past 3 years, 12% in some areas. And it all depends on on the growth that we have over those years. So it's a great idea to make sure that we're protesting every year just to keep those assessments down. The other thing also is you want to protect not only your heirs should anything happen and you're passing down these properties to your heirs, but also it helps your neighbors keep their taxes down as well. Um, so just something to keep in mind. So again, your protest does not change the tax percentages. The tax percentages remain the same. What changes is the assessment of your home. And here are a couple of the tax entities that are out there. Just some FYI information on the over 65 freeze tax exemption. All your taxes are freezing and they will not increase except for the River Authority and the University Health tax. Of course, those are the smallest percentages. The highest percentages of your tax is your local independent school district tax. And I want to say here in this area, the tax rate is about 2.8. But in some areas around San Antonio, that's the highest 2.8, 2.2 to 2.8, depending on the area of San Antonio that you're living in. So again, some of your general type of exemptions, you got your general homestead exemption, your over 65 exemption, the disabled veterans less than 100% rating. Sorry, they'll receive a discount anywhere of 5,000 up to 12,000 of taxable value, depending on their VA rating. You will have to submit documentation from the VA about that rating when you're doing it, applying for these exemptions. And of course, your disabled veteran is at 100% permanent disabled rating. They don't pay any property taxes at all. The disabled person with SSDI, and this again, this includes children living in the home. They don't have to own the property. If anybody's living in the home that is disabled and you are caring for, you do qualify for that discount of $10,000 on the property value as well. And then lastly, we got some frequently asked questions on exemptions. Again, first one I talked about was the 65. For all our new neighbors, we used to have to wait until the beginning of the year to file for that homestead exemption. As soon as you purchase your new purchase your new home, and that's your permanent address or your primary residence, you can file for that exemption at any time. If you do not have any of these exemptions on, you can go retroactive back 2 years, and they will reimburse you overpayments for those past 2 years. Again, you cannot claim the homestead exemption on multiple properties, just your primary residence. Heirs of deceased relatives that live on the property can get these exemptions too. Now, one of the big requirements is that Texas driving residents that live here more than 90 days are required to have the driver's license to file these exemptions. And then a lot of these exemptions will pass on to a surviving spouse, but they must reapply. Now, another thing that I didn't know about with taxes going up as high as they can, if you are over 65, you can also apply for deferment of those taxes. However, the moment, say that person passes, a lien will be placed on the property, and the heirs have up to 180 days to where they can sell that property and pay off that lien on those taxes. And so for the rest of the slides, if you want me to, I can go over these with you. But what I did is just highlighted the different areas that you need to fill out. This one is for the homestead and the 100% disabled. It's fairly simple. Just highlighting, filling out the required areas that are highlighted in yellow here. And then I did one as well for the disabled vet with a 10 to 90% rating as well. So you can go back and visit these if y'all would like. And again, here are some of the different percentages and the exemption up to exemption amounts for those ratings. All right. Did anybody have any questions that I could maybe answer for you at this time? The success rate, I want to say maybe about 75 to 90% on getting a reduction. If you choose to go with a lot of these companies that are out there, they give the guarantee that if you don't save anything, they don't charge you anything. Um, the majority of the time, especially if you do have those exemptions already in place, when you protest those taxes, you can get anywhere from 2,000 to, I think the highest one I did was 32,000 reduction on their assessment. With the new laws, Rose was asking, does a homestead have to be filled out every year, or is it just once and done? It's usually once and done, but with the new laws that are taking effect this year, some of y'all received some letters that you will have to refile for that homestead exemption. The good thing to do is go ahead, if you're already filed and have the exemption in place and you didn't receive a letter, go back to the BCAD website, look up your property just to make sure those exemptions are on there. For Molly was asking if they come back with a settlement after you file, is it recommended to accept? Again, that's just preference. If that's offer that they come back with the settlement comes within the range that you're looking for, after you do the CMA with your realtor, then it is entirely up to you to accept it or not. But most of the time, it'll come back within that range. It's just trying to figure out a target range of what you find acceptable or not. Yeah, Rose is asking on the pictures of improvements needed, where do you submit those? You submit those to the email that's on the second slide. What was it? cb@bcad.com. And you definitely want to um, submit those estimates because that's what's going to help you reduce the assessment value. And again, I have a list that I can send out to everybody of some of the home professionals that I have. A lot of them will do the free estimates for you. And again, just tell them you're doing it for tax purposes. So if they could make those estimates on what they feel is both fair and on the higher end, that definitely comes out to your benefit. But if you don't have those estimates and you're just showing the distress in your property, it's a lot harder to argue the reduction in value.
Understood. Thank you. And then also, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No, you're good.
Oh, sorry. Yes, that's mine. Okay, so we'll submit originally first file protest, and then I'm assuming, do you get some sort of email confirmation saying this is your quote unquote claim number or something, and is that what you reference in the email?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got it.
So after you file, like I said, I recommend doing it in person or through email. That way you can have the timestamp of when you submitted those forms. And then 2 weeks prior to your hearing, they will be sending you back the packet for your hearing. Sometimes they'll send out the evidence packet even sooner than that, depending on how backlogged they get and how many protests they have have scheduled already. But sometimes this may take all the way out until October for them to get finished with all the protests.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then what I'll do also is that list that I got based on all our neighbors' recommendations of contractors and stuff. I'll send that a link to that list also, so you can contact either one of our neighbors that specializes in whatever field that you need that work done in, or some other contractors that I've worked with outside of the neighborhood as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, any other questions that I can help out with?
Just want to say thank you for taking your afternoon on a Saturday to walk us through this.
Oh, my pleasure. Got me out of doing chores today, so I'm happy. And again, after this recording's done, within tonight or tomorrow, I'll send you out a copy of all those forms, a copy of the slides, and that contractor list as well.
Thank you, Sergio.
My pleasure. And if you all need, feel free to shoot me a DM if you have any other questions that pop up, or text message or call. Also, I'm here for everybody. Y'all have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon.